In this video, I'm going to show you how to make one of these beautiful rings with a very unique material called Trustone. Trustone, as far as I've been able to research, is made via a secretive process by its makers where they take pulverized mineral ores, pigment them, and then stabilize them with resin. And it basically mimics the aesthetic of various sort of precious gemstones or semi-precious stones. In this case, I used the Chrysocolla, which is a beautiful kind of cerulean blue color with black webbing, and I think it looks really nice. And I got this material from my boy JD over at ringsupplies.com, and he also hooked me up with a few of these stunning stainless steel ring blanks as well. So if you're looking for cool supplies for making rings, then JD over at ringsupplies.com is your boy. And I must say, these stainless steel blanks are beautifully machined. So the first step was pretty much to make that chunk of Trustone small enough to fit into the jaws of my chuck, so I just trimmed it down a bit with the bandsaw, being careful not to sever my fingers, and after a quick little zippy zip, I was able to mount that in the jaws of the chuck. Then I needed to make a hole for the ring, obviously, so I did that first of all with a few drill bits, and I just drilled it slowly. I step drilled it the same as I would with titanium or steel, and the reason I did that is just to avoid overheating. You don't want to get the Trustone too hot. Luckily for me, that was all the work I needed to do on the inner diameter of the Trustone inlay, so I just mounted it then onto a expanding ring mandrel, which I coincidentally also got from ringsupplies.com. And then I was able to use a carbide cutting tool to zip down that outer diameter. And pretty much I just stopped frequently to measure that outside diameter with my digital calipers. And yeah, the carbide cutting tools just cut through this stuff like butter. It's so nice to machine. When the inside and outer diameter were cut to the right size, so that they would fit perfectly into that ring blank, I then needed to get it down to width. And you'll see there that a little bit of the kind of edges chipped out as I was machining the blank. But that's absolutely fine because I had plenty to play with. And the tool I used was this like left to right carbide cutting tool. So I started out by just truing up one of the edges with that kind of cutting tool that was at a 90-degree angle. And then I was able to take my digital calipers and a pencil and just make a mark to mark out the 5mm width that I needed the Trustone blank to be, so that it would fit into that inlay channel. Then I just switched the blank around and zipped down the other side. And I just kind of frequently checked with my calipers just to make sure that it would be the right width. I took the ring blank off of the expanding ring mandrel, just sanded it slightly with a bit of 240 grit sandpaper, and bada boom, that Trustone blank was practically finished. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, the next thing I needed to do was actually get that into the inlay channel. So initially I was just going to kind of like cut it in half and glue it in, but I decided that I'd be a Mr. Fancy Pants and try and sort of make it look seamless. So I roughed up the inside of the Trustone blank and the kind of surface of that inlay channel on the stainless steel ring. And then I found a mark on the webbing pattern of the Chrysocolla and kind of marked that with a pencil, and then flipped the ring around and found another kind of bit of webbing on the opposite side and made a little kind of mark on there as well with a pencil. Then I was able to take my jeweler's saw and like cut down the webbing. Does that make sense? So instead of cutting a straight line, I cut it with the webbing so that when I stuck the ring back together, you know, the seams would be harder to locate. And I'll be honest, I did this with a fair bit of success. The jeweler's saw just has a really thin blade, so yeah, that did a pretty good job. The next thing to do was to glue the Trustone into the ring. So I just used some 5-minute epoxy, mixed it up, and then applied a generous amount to the ring blank. And then I was able to kind of slot the two pieces of the Trustone into place. There was a little gap where I hadn't taken into account the thickness of the saw blade, but that's fine because there's plenty of dust left over from the machining, and I was able to kind of like just drop a little bit of the dust down into those little cracks, so that they were able to, you know, hide the seams. To secure the Trustone in place while the glue cured, I used some of this twisty rubber wire, which I can't remember the name of. If you do know the name for that stuff, then leave it in the comments. But when the epoxy resin glue had cured, this is what I was left with, which I thought was pretty neat. Needed a bit of cleanup as there was some kind of glue overspill, so I just took the ring onto the lathe and just sanded it with a few grits of sandpaper from like 400 up to 1200, and then I used a few grits of micro mesh just to bring that extra bit of silky smooth shininess. And then to really make the metal and the Trustone pop, I used some green polishing compound on my buffing wheel and just give it a little zippity zipper, and that was the end of the project. So in the end, I think that the ring turned out really cool. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Trustone is a super cool material. Like I said, check out ringsupplies.com for all of your ring making material needs. And if you like the video, then hit the like button and maybe even subscribe. I don't know, maybe you might even like to watch some other videos from my channel. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.